My family met me in Gorham yesterday, and I took a 0, and I really needed it. The whites wiped me out. Maine hasn't been much easier, to be honest, so far. I've climbed steel ladders, but the views have been just as amazing as they were in the whites as well. There's a storm brewing, and it hailed on me, but it didn't last long, and I was able to dry out. But another storm came in when I got to the shelter, and it was brutal. It was lightning, thunder. It felt like it was right on top of me. The wind was blowing so strong, and it was blowing all the rain right into the shelter. There was no staying dry. So I did something I swore I would never do, and I set my tent up in the shelter. I haven't seen a soul in 2 days, so I don't think it's going to bother anybody if somebody comes along. There's space for about 3 more tents in this shelter. It's huge. But if I need to move it, I will. I noticed when I got to the shelter tonight that my soles on my shoes were coming off, and either the whites chew them up really bad, or my micro spikes, did damage to them. But I got these shoes brand new at the beginning of the whites. It was only 80 miles ago or so. These are Topo Ultra Venture 3s. I've worn them almost on my entire thru hike, and this is the only pair I've struggled with. So I think it was my micro spikes that did them. If you got Topos, or you're thinking about using these, they're great, but get something different for the whites in Southern Maine. You need something that can really hold up a lot better. Here we go, beginning of the Mahoosic Notch, and the trail has dealt it to me wet and in the rain. It is what it is. Check out these beautiful views from the top of the Mahoosic Arm. I've been climbing in a cloud all day. A cold mist. Ugh. I had almost no mud in Vermont. I was so lucky, but I'm paying for it in Maine. Look how far my trekking pole is going down into the mud here. It's a good 2 feet. I'm having to be so careful that I don't just sink in mud. This is what the trail has looked like all day. All the rain. It just caused I would say the trail turned into a puddle. It's a lake, a stream. I don't know, it's deep. I mean, in some places it's 5-6 inches deep. So you just play hopscotch along the rocks and the logs, and it's very slow moving. Kind of frustrating. All it's done in Maine is rain. The puddles and mud are such a pain. The careful steps drive me insane, and the foggy views are so lame. Jelly Belly and I just forded that river. I guess we didn't really ford it. We kind of rock hopped it. There's a board there that we crossed. I still got my left shoe wet, but that was dicey, thrilling. I made it to the top of Bigelow Mountain, South Horn. Check out these awesome views. Just stunning beauty of Maine I get to see. This hike through Southern Maine has just been atrocious. Just hiked the Bigelows, and I'm on Avery Peak, and as you can see around me, I am in nothing but a cloud. I get no reward for this hike, other than to be closer to Katahdin and closer to being done with the Appalachian Trail. This is the view from Little Bigelow. I've come atop Bigelow Mountain, or Little Bigelow, and they're some of the best and only views I've gotten in Maine. The summit is below the cloud line. All the other mountains have been 4,000 footers, and they've been above the cloud line. So there's Bigelow Mountain and Avery Peak right there, and you can see how it's above the clouds. So I had no view from there. So we made it to the shelter tonight, and there's an axe here. There's nothing quite like being in the middle of the Maine wilderness in a shelter where there's an axe. Oh man, it's a good thing I trust Jelly Belly. We are getting up early tomorrow. We got to make it to the Kennebec, I think by like 10 a.m. In order to take the canoe across before they're out. I'm going to show you guys something. I got a video and a photo from some friends who are about 100 miles behind us on the AT, and they went over Mount Washington yesterday, and they did it through all this rain, except on Mount Washington, it was all snow, so it was like 70 degrees and sunny when I hit it, and it is an all-out snowstorm. You can see it is rough. They did not hike over Madison in this, and I don't blame them. They walked down the Mount Washington Auto Road and reconnected to the AT. It would have been nearly impossible to do the hike on the AT from there.